Hello, beloveds. Happy new moon. New moon in Gemini. Wow. It's been quite an intense journey to this new moon since this last full moon in Scorpio. I've heard from some of you that it has also been just profound transformation and change and lots of closure. I'm having the most yummy cacao this morning from Uganda. All right, here we are starting to call in what is of the highest service in revealing the messages, the information that will help us to center into this time, space, and be in right relationship with ourself, with our mission, with our life, and with the energy that is moving. And so we are channeling this collective energy and under this new moon. Yesterday we actually had this large influx of solar flares. So I feel inclined to pull a card about that, about what the rays, if you will, the information, the attributes of those codes are. And excuse me, I'm just like digesting my cacao. If you haven't already, I'm going to invite you, if you enjoy these readings, to go ahead and hit the subscribe if you want to keep getting them. This helps so much, and I see that people watch, and then I wait until the end of the videos to do this. So I'm going to ask now, and we're going to dive in. So the rays that are coming in are the rays of divine will. That's the first ray, the ray of creation. When we have this word blueprint, when we think of a blueprint, it's the original architecture, right? It's like the planning. And actually, this is what the body is made of. The first ray, the ray of will, is the first creative force that came forth from the Godhead, that came forth from Source. So this says, when you put yourself into a state of total trust, the universe responds and starts providing immediately. The universe responds to your requests when you are aligned with divine will. So these are, I hear the word catalyst, that these are catalysts to reprogram us into that kind of alignment, that deep surrender that requires supreme trust, that we be detached from any outcomes. So this is what's coming up as the incoming light codes from these solar flares, and typically they land about 24 to 48 hours after they have occurred. So it's probably starting to hit now. I know I didn't sleep well, so I was starting to feel them a bit earlier. There's so much cosmic weather happening with the new moon in Gemini. I'm a Gemini, my birthday is tomorrow. Gemini is all about fun and exploration and partying a bit, enjoying life. It's the inner child and it's the mind. It's very mercurial, ruled by Mercury, so very much in the conceptual, the possibility, the philosophy, and it's very creative too. And it creates from the infinite possibility. So with this new moon in Gemini, what I understood is that this is actually the first new moon since we have had many retrogrades. So it's a significant point when we actually can start to see the benefits of the work that we've been doing. And we can also, it's like a quick manifestation time. And we want to be very mindful, very mature in how we are approaching life, because we may go into our rituals to manifest things we want, and then we may just not be considerate of how our daily actions, thoughts, and feelings are also sending that prayer to the universe, and they may be things that we don't want. So coming back to this, when you put your trust into a state and put yourself in a state of trust, I'm getting ahead of myself, in the state of trust, and the universe responds immediately, providing what you need. All right, Spirit, so what is our overarching theme? Copals, time to cleanse, clean. That's actually what I'm burning right now, is copal. Copal is a sacred resin in Mesoamerica used to cleanse the spirit, also to open and activate our communication with spirit. And it seems that, yeah, there's a lot of communication with the upper worlds right now. So I'll show you this copal card, because it feels like that's important. And this is our overall collective energy. And then we've got this upper worlds card. This is where we're at right now. Everything is available to us if we're able to ask and then trust. And it's not just as simple as doing that. There's actually, at some point, there comes an opportunity to answer that call through some action. And generally, it's through, with the copal here, it's like a bit of surrendering, clearing, and cleaning space. And also, in that process, being in the worship and in the knowing of what's arriving. So if there is something maybe still lingering from this last full moon, some like pieces that are still finding their way into a new beginning, leaning in to see if there's some kind of shift, some kind of physical thing you can do to clear that space, cut those cords. Maybe it's some kind of object linking you with that past experience or person that needs to be removed, or it needs to be given away, or it needs to change. And in doing that, it's in like the knowing, the prayer to the divine, that I'm doing this knowing you've already provided me with something better as a replacement, that this is going to be used in a way to nourish me and to bring me into the highest alignment that will serve myself and all of those involved. And we've got this rose card. It's the rose thread. And it's coming in upside down, so this could be more of a challenge than we expected. It says, inner call, soul-led, the mystic, and living courageously. This is the card of the mystic, the one who's in touch with the depths of the inner world and the inner weavings of the world and beyond, way beyond. They're dedicated to listening to the mysterious voice whispering within, to following their intuition and living in accordance with that, to living by being guided by the rose thread. Following the rose thread means being dedicated to walking the way of the rose, to being in service to humanity and dedicated to writing a new story. It requires courage and faith and a willingness to pave a new path. The rose has been a symbol of mysteries for thousands of years, and the rose thread is the invisible path that the mystic follows. It takes courage to trust, for the path is different for every single person, and this is why it requires courage to trust the inner call. And those who do so find great reward. This card is a sign that you're being called to follow this initiatory path, led by the thread deep within. You may find that you're in a place of great change and are being called to have faith and gather up the courage to take the next step. This card is a sign of encouragement to keep taking the next step. It's acknowledging the courage it takes to live a soul-led life and honoring you for always taking the leap. So even when things feel unclear, especially when they do, I trust that I'm always led from within. Leading up to this moment, I've felt this. I've felt this like collaboration happening all over the planet as those who have been walking the mystic path and have been opening to a spirit-led life are being called to elevate into the next level of communication and communion with the divine. And that's being releasing and giving away the things that have been precious, have been a source of safety even. And I spoke about this in one of the last transmissions, was this idea of the sacred road and the Tao, the Sakbi, known by the Maya. And that it's time that if you have been sitting on the sidelines and the invitations have been coming, that this is the point. This is the point in which miracles can occur and that you can embark. You're actually flowing with the stream of life if you choose to initiate yourself now into whatever this underlying thing is. Maybe it's even more than one thing. Maybe it's the entry into a relationship with yourself and out of relationship with other people constantly. Or maybe it's in a relationship with a more mature part of yourself or a more childlike part of yourself. Maybe it's to initiate a relationship with someone else or to take the leap into your calling. I feel like that's more of what's here. It's about people moving and orienting themselves towards the things that make them feel alive and fulfilled, because it is through the act of living in our joy, in our bliss, and taking time to do the things that really fill us up, that we are communicating the prayer, that that's what we want, that that's what we wish to be moving our energy towards and serving. And this is the purpose of our life. The purpose of our life is to live through a heart-based experience of joy, of connection, of love and service. And so if you find yourself really feeling weighed down right now by anything, particularly since we just had this transit of Saturn moving into Aries, this is the initiation, the ignition. It's the point in which we're asked to boldly step into our warriorship, to step out of the normal day-to-day, to be the weirdo, to raise your freak flag, and to say, this is who I am, and this is what's important to me, and it may look crazy to everyone else, but this is what my heart is calling for, and I'm willing to step into that unknown. And again, I'm just taken back to this first ray of divine will, that when we act, not just say that we trust, because that's only half of the concoction, half of the poultice, if you will, this medicinal poultice that infuses life and infuses healing. We have to have all the ingredients. So if you say I trust, but then you're not taking the actions that would say that to the universe by letting go of things, by being willing to courageously step out, then you only have an herb and you don't have the other parts for the poultice. You don't have the heat, or you don't have the salt, or you don't have the linen. So you have to have both the masculine and the feminine. You have to have the feminine the surrendering of the emotion and the mind, and then you have to have the masculine that steps forward and takes the action, cuts the cord, or invites something in, like reaches out and takes the invitation. There's something more here. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, okay, I'm not familiar with this card. It's pretty intense. So it looks like there's a good bit of impurities that are starting to rise up here, which when we have solar flares, that's what it's doing. It's like, if you think of the earth like a bell, when the solar radiation hits, it starts to ring the bell. And so it sends these vibrations out. And as the vibrations come out, it oscillates through the human biofield and all of physical matter. And what it does is it's like a purification, a purging that happens. So this is a reminder of interdependence of existence, that you must give and not simply take. Plants, animals, and the cosmos, everything in life depends on your gifts to continue. Death is not an end, but always a beginning. The seed from the dead corn plant is the promise of corn. And this is from a Mayan deck. This particular deity is linked with both war and agriculture. During the festivals in his honor, religious leaders would wear the skin of a sacrificial war captive, representing the earth in the dead, dry season of winter. It's a complex figure embodying broad concepts of life, death, sacrifice, and renewal. So to me, what I get from this is reciprocity. You have to be willing to give in order to receive. The blessing in receiving also is in the gifting. So amazingly enough, we get this mirror back when we're able to give something with full surrender, with full trust, and with love. Like, and especially if it's something or someone that's very hard to let go. When you can do it from the motivation of, I truly love this person or this thing, and I want others to get to experience it. And maybe it's a person, so you want them to get to experience the thing that's right for them. So it becomes less about you and the little self and what the little self wants, what the ego wants. And what this does is Spirit goes, yes, you now understand what love is about. Here's some more love for you. Here's another person or a place or a way that will get reflected to you, and to increase your capacity to continue to have your hand open and let things come and go. All right, and so one more. Turquoise serpents. Turquoise serpent also, I think, is very, it's very close with this other deity here. So associated with wisdom and sacred discourse, political power. Being asked to keep in mind that wisdom is a gift from the heavens. Listen and honor the wisdom that comes to you, and it will lead you to your source of personal power. Also reminds you to pay attention to your words, for they create your reality. It's a pivotal time. The creative forces are just so right now, where we are able to get quick manifesting responses. And therefore it can be a time of incredible power where maybe we ask for what we need, but we're also thinking of interdependence, thinking of the whole, what other people need, and how we can deliver that through the intentions of our heart, through the prayers of our life, through the way that we show up and release, the way that we show up in courage, the way that we lead by example. So I'm just feeling like so much wholesome energy under the light of this new moon, that anything and everything is possible. Do you have the space? That's the most important piece that's coming through, is do you have space? And if there's something really big that you're asking for, if there's something really particular, you really have to ask that question honestly. Is there space for that thing to also exist? You know, I have definitely felt that in my own field as I'm like giving birth to myself and the way that I feel most aligned to show up in service and to have the most impact. As a mother, I have to really consider how much energy and time that I have to be able to take care of myself, my daughter, and my people through my service, through my work. And so it's something that I didn't really consider how much energy and space were required to allow this occupancy of the new me that's coming alive, and the time that it requires to be dedicated to that. And that's with any relationship. So if it's the relationship with yourself, if it's with your work, if it's with your body, if it's with a parent, a child, maybe it's something else that you have going on in your life, it's your career, you have to create the space to be able to honor that and build it, because relationships don't just happen. Relationships are created. And I keep cycling back, like it seems like this is very important for people to ask that question of, do I have the space for what I'm calling in? If not, what needs to go? What am I hanging on to too tight there that's really showing me my fear and compulsivity? Is that even a word? Compulsivity. Compulsivity to latch on, to hold on. And where is my motivation coming from? Is my motivation coming from a place that's considering everybody, or is it self-centered? And that's like another one of those key ingredient things. If you really want to manifest something that's incredibly wholesome, fulfilling, nourishing, you have to consider the whole. So you're not just doing something for money. If you're just doing it for money, it's going to come back, and essentially what you're just telling the universe is that I'm doing this because I'm scared. I'm doing this because I don't trust that I have enough. And that's very nuanced. I'm sure that that's not everyone's, but we often want money because we need a sense of security, importance, value. So you have to start to track where your motivations are coming from and ask those questions. I say that my motivation is love, but is it because I have a deficit of something else? I say my motivation is to find a partner, but is it because I have a deficit of something else and I'm telling the universe I actually don't trust? So track your motivation and make sure your motivation is something in terms of mutual benefits, something that is for the whole. I want to call in peace in my life, and I don't care the way that it arrives. If it would arrive with these characteristics or these qualities, that's what I would like, universe. But I'm surrendered and leaving it up to a greater plan that can coordinate, orchestrate things so much better, so much more aligned than I ever could. And that's what I'm receiving right now in this moment for my life. Thank you for witnessing that and affirming it. And I'm just holding this ray of blue light over all of you who are receiving this message right now. And I invite you to breathe that in, to really feel the infusion of the sapphire ray of divine will creation, of surrender and trust. And through your words, your very consciously cultivated creation of word, of song, of praise, of thought and feeling and vision that you bring into existence, your best life, and embark, take the initiation. Embark. It's the time of hidden blessings. This is the time where, particularly the things right now that have been challenging, maybe they've been challenging for a while, but the things that have felt so hard to move past and to see beyond, this is it. It's like you've actually found yourself right in the nest. You're right in this hidden place of safety and of provision. We've got a 7 here, so it's like a cycle of completion. And this says you have beautiful dreams and inspired bold ambitions. You are guided to believe that they are natural expressions of your soul, something that is meant to be. Life will support you in the expression of those dreams and ambitions, even in the moments where it seems you are experiencing struggle rather than support. The process of transformation into full maturity involves learning how to grow through light and dark and back to light again. You will always find your way back to the light. Have faith in yourself and what must be. Dedicate yourself to what you love without hesitation. And it goes on to say, if you're experiencing loss or change, to have faith. Sometimes things happen that seem to be working against us. It's only later that they show themselves to have been valuable ways by which we acquired the greater faith, courage, and determination that were necessary to the fulfillment of our purpose. Everything happening in your life is allowing you to fulfill your divine potential. And know that any darkness will give way to light. So in that creative process, again, coming back to the power, the stewardship of our energy in the present moment, that the things that don't instantly manifest, that take time, when we've been doing that cultivation of our soul, that cultivation, an alignment of personality with soul and with will of the divine, and yet we still see the problem, it doesn't mean that it didn't work. It actually just means it takes a little time to catch up. And part of your challenge and your self-discovery of that force of creation is, even though I see it as still being a challenge, my heart, my belief is going to stay in the knowingness this has already been done. I'm going to stay centered in the power of the inner truth. And what will occur is that it will actually speed up that process. If something is needing to break down and it's just been a slow breakdown process, it tends to accelerate that, because it's all about learning the lesson. It's all about accepting our right as a co-creative force in this universe, and that of creating something beautiful, creating the new earth. So, thank you for receiving this message. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share if you think this will help someone, and if you found it to be inspiring for you under this new moon. Until next time, keep it pure, stay simple. Pura vida.